Most of us probably have at least a few family keepsakes, old photos, letters, maybe a couple of knickknacks of personal significance. In that regard, Shirley and Bernard Kinsey aren't much different from the rest of us.
Everything about the show is connective tissue. In other words, we don't just get things just to get it. We get it because it has some connection back to the Kinsey family.
Bernard Kinsey is standing on the third floor of Tallahassee's Brogan Museum. Heavy wooden packing crates are everywhere. The contents of those crates are being mounted on walls and placed in glass display cases. We'll check out some of those items in a moment, but first, a little background on Bernard Kinsey himself. He and Shirley both retired from the Xerox Corporation a while back and live in Los Angeles. They've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to worthy causes. But Bernard Kinsey remembers much humbler days and his long connection to a very different Tallahassee long ago.
When I used to come to Florida A&M in the 60s, we had to pick where we were going to stop because every gas station would let you use the restroom. So we wouldn't buy gas unless you could use the restroom. And there were no hotels that you could stay in. You know what I mean? There were no McDonald's and Burger King. So if you didn't have some fried chicken and some pound cake, you didn't eat.
It was the fight against those injustices that led Kinsey to his life partner.
As a matter of fact, I met my wife Shirley here at Florida A&M in 1963 after she got out of jail. And she was one of the demonstrators in helping bring down segregation here in Tallahassee.
So when visitors come to the Brogan to view Kinsey's remarkable collection of artwork and artifacts, one of the first things they'll see is a large painted portrait of Bernard and Shirley.
The portrait of Shirley and I is done by Artist Lane. Artist Lane was the first African-American sculptress to have a sculpture piece in the sculpture garden in the White House.
Nearby, there's a chunk of unremarkable-looking dark gray rock in a glass case. Kinsey says the rock, which came from the Senegalese island of Gorée, a historic slave trade port, is much more significant than it looks.
My ancestors are from Senegal, so my ancestors either walked on that rock or a rock very similar to that. So that makes the connection with this American family in Africa.
There are other historic artifacts, such as original first edition books.
This book here is Leo Africanus. This book was written in 1632, and it was the first book written by an African about Africa before slavery decimated.
The result of millions of African people loaded into westbound ships.
This is a great document here, done in 1795 to 1806, which demonstrates by ship, by cargo type, how many enslaved people are in every ship.
A part of the exhibit that has a disturbingly close connection.
Because we're here at the Brogan in Tallahassee is a good sign. And that's why we're asking everybody to come out. But we do understand where the roots are, you follow me, in this town, and how this town was built on slave labor.
There are many other historical documents in the Kinsey collection: the Emancipation Proclamation, letters from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, and then there are the many rare original works of art, including sculpture, drawings, and paintings.
This is Robert Duncanson, 1865, and he was considered the greatest painter in the West when the West only went as far as Cincinnati.
There's even a surreal-looking quilt. It depicts an Aunt Jemima figure surrounded by gigantic balls of cotton.
But she's got her hands on her hip. She's got a head rag on. She is a little defined, but she really does have a lot of what we call attitude. What she represents, in 1860, there were 4 million black people working on 75,000 plantations in America, picking cotton. The thing that we would like people to do is to come out, because we think that when you see the remarkable people represented in this exhibition, you'll see the kind of tremendous lineage that African Americans make.